have a ton of stuff to try and get done today, but I'm just going to do a very quick recap because it's the weekend, the kids aren't in school, I'm not going to have a ton of time, so I just need to crack on. First things first though, I am dehydrating a load of chopped onions on the stove, so that can just gently dehydrate, and then when this is all nice and dry, I'll stick it in the food mixer again and start adding to my very pathetic amount of dried onion powder. One of the things that I'm going to try and do over the next few months is just boost all the little areas that I have pollinator flowers. So the edges of all the raised beds, I want to put primroses, snowdrops, all kinds of little things like that, especially anything which is winter and early spring flowering, because it's a little bit like us where we have a hungry gap in terms of food. Bees have a very similar problem. I'd really like to improve the amount of primroses I have in the garden, and also hellebores, because those hellebores in particular flower throughout most of winter as well. Actually, I think they start in November, and mine are still currently flowering, so they're fantastic for bees, and I want to boost that. I have a load of snowdrops in the front garden, but stupidly I picked the seeds way too early, and yes, my hands are muddy again, because first thing in the morning I'm always in the garden, so my hands perpetually look like this, and my fingerprints no longer work on my laptop. So yeah, how can you tell I'm a gardener? But I picked the seed pods way too early. They're still green. I should have waited until they were yellow, so that was stupid. But I have loads more snowdrops in the front garden, so I'm going to let those mature. I'm going to plant these anyway and just cross my fingers and dapple these around the very edge of my raised beds. If I can improve the amount of bees in the garden, then I can improve the pollination of my plants, the health of the ecosystem. The healthier the ecosystem is in my garden, the less pest problems I'm going to have. So that is the goal. And then something else I got done yesterday is I put hay down all in the greenhouse. This is partly for aesthetic reasons, also because it's really nice not having to walk in here with my very trashed slippers. I can even walk in here bare feet, and it's lovely. But I'm not going to do that for the moment. Once the greenhouse is connected to the house, it's going to be a game changer. And then I added some small strawberry patches directly underneath here, especially the ones where I've made the basket with t-shirts. Those should drain really nicely. But then the strawberry holders that I made with the old compost bag, I am going to have to poke holes in that if I want the excess water to water the strawberry, which is at the bottom. This is one of my favourite ways to mark out flowers, because it's cheap, it's easy, and it looks very beautiful, and I have thousands of stones in my garden, so it's perfect. Another thing I have been working on is trying to figure out where I can put more trees, more figs, more things like that. I've already got a grape growing up here, and I used to have a lemon tree growing at the end. You can still see where the hole is for the moment, and that olive tree will eventually be going out once I've managed to propagate it a few more times, because I'm trying to turn one tree into about 5, and I have the cuttings that I've took propagating over here in the raised bed, but there isn't a ton of tree available, so I can't take too many cuttings without damaging it. So it is a waiting game, but that's also very normal for olive trees. But I figured out a few places in the garden where I can put more fig trees, more nectarine trees, more apple trees, and more pears. And a fig I'm going to put in here. I like to put the panache or the tiger stripe fig in here, because I think it'd be very striking being able to grow it up against that wall. You see all of those beautiful leaves, and you can use the leaves for fermentation as well. And you can also use the sap for making cheese, but that's a whole different video. Basically, a fig has got 1,000,001 uses, and having all of the beautiful striped figs at the end will be visually beautiful, and also a very practical fruit that I can stick into a very, very small space. And having it in the greenhouse here will allow me to grow it very comfortably, as opposed to growing it outside where it would probably struggle. At least that variety would. Another thing that I've realised, because as some of you know, and you can see it growing at the very end here, I have a blood peach which is growing around that end. But it occurred to me yesterday, stupidly, I should have realised this sooner, that there's no reason why I can't plant another kind of peach on this end and then just have it so that they grow and they kind of interlock and crisscross. There's no reason why I can't do that, so that is what I'm going to do. I need to narrow down what kind of tree I want. But yes, that way I can get 2 trees in here. I've already got 2 grapes, one on either side of the door. But I've also realised there is absolutely no reason why, excuse me girl, I can't put 2 grapes here, and I want to get those finger grapes. They do look a little bit strange, but I kind of love that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant one here, one there, and then I'm going to train it to grow along there, down, and then all the way along. Yes, excuse the hat. I know it does look very Handmaid's Tale 2025, but no. This is just one of those really good Korean sun hats, and because I prefer to spend money on plants over skincare, I like to keep my skin out of the sun, and also I don't see the point of getting sunspots before I have to, so there's that as well. I'm going to do a little bit of a test run of this plant today, and if you haven't seen this before, if you've ever had cleavers in your garden, in the UK it's also called sticky willy as well, which I don't know about you, but when I was a kid that made me laugh like crazy because I have the humour of a very immature child. This is part of that family, but it's called sweet gallium, and the idea behind it is that it's a vanilla extract alternative, and it doesn't smell particularly vanilla-y when you first get it. I'm going to take it in, dry it, and see if that is going to be a decent replacement. I need to pick it now before it flowers. Apparently the best time is in late winter, early spring before it flowers, and when it flowers the smell apparently isn't as potent, so today we're going to test that out. I'm just going to put that next to the stove so that it can dry, and I will report back later and see if it actually works and smells like vanilla. And while I'm here, I think I'll show you the plants that I'm thinking of getting. These are finger grapes, so they're like grapes but they're long, and I know they are a bit disturbing to look at, which is kind of why I like them. I'm thinking of getting a red one and a black one, and I love the look of them. This is the fig that I want to grow at the end of the polytunnel, and the inside is this beautiful, beautiful kind of glassy pink. Oh, it should be stunning. It should be absolutely stunning. And I'm hoping to make jams, to dry them, to make pies with them. It will just be really nice as a very sweet treat, because the ones from the shops are just, oh, I remember eating figs when I was little at my abuela's farm, and my mum had warned me, do not eat the figs because it was a really, really hot day. Do not eat hot figs in the sun. And Abuelo had put us in one of those little tractor trailers, and we were going round, and naturally we were going round the fig tree. Every time we went past, because I had the brain of a goldfish, I would grab a fig and I would eat it. They were obviously delicious. And within about 10 minutes, I had deep, profound regrets, and ever since then I haven't really touched figs, but I need to get over it because those figs were amazing. And I want to grow them again. I just know better, and I will not be eating them on a hot sunny day. And these are the peaches that I'm thinking of getting. I'm not generally a fan of the fuzzy peach skin. There's something about that that just kind of makes me feel a bit gross. But I don't have to eat the skin. I can always give the skin to the chickens. I can eat the inside. There's a million and one ways in which it will not be wasted. And aesthetically, at least, I love it. And I do love dried peaches as well. And I do love peach pie. So I'm thinking that this is something that I will be growing on the opposite end of that raised bed. So lots of little bits and bobs that I need to crack on with, but even if it's just a little bit every day is going to add up. So this is good.